Deals are being closed. I want to start off with first congratulating two of our agents for closing over $1 million. So we'll start off with Egna, I think it's Egna Douglas. She closed a $1.7 million property out in Playa del Rey. And also Afshin Eskandari closed on a Redondo Beach property as well. I think it was $1.2 million transaction. So if you do happen to, reach out to Afshin or Egna, please give them a shout out, congratulate them for closing this month. So let's go ahead and get started with our sales meeting. Again, thank you all for being on the call. It's 1:04. Where's Sonia? So we're going to start with Sonia on our Tech Wednesday tip. How you doing? Can you hear Sonia?
Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone. All right, so tech tips. Let me get over here real quick.
So, Sonia, so you're gonna talk to us about branding yourself and designs. Love it, love it.
Yeah, so we have a lot of branding opportunities within Command, right? And I think that a lot of people kind of feel like they don't want to do the whole design aspect of everything. So I just wanted to show you really quickly how much stuff KW has given us just in the past week, even in terms of what you can do. And it's so simple. So I know I'm going to go a little fast just because I don't want to take up too much of the sales meeting. You can come back to this recording later if you want. So let me go ahead and show you a few things. So one of the things that designs or Command Designs has allowed us to do is create any kind of flyers, right? So if you pop into your Command account and you come down here to this designs, can everyone see my screen, by the way? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you come down to your designs area. You're just gonna you want to create something for social media with your own branding on it. Super easy to do. Just come to designs, and it's gonna group everything here for you that you've created in the past. You can also, if you're only looking for the social posts that you've created or landing pages you've created, you can search for them by clicking these buttons up here. But if you're gonna create something new, you're just gonna come down here and click this giant plus button, okay? So I've opened a few windows. So it's gonna take you over to the design section. And so there are so many designs in here already, guys. So not everything is being put in here anymore. A lot of it is gonna start showing up on KW Connect, as well as other places. So I'll show you how to get to those in just a second. But let's just say you're looking to brand something. So it drops you on your app one. It tells you there's 18 templates in here. And you can select any which one of these, and there's all kinds of shift things and whatnot. But I like this new virtual tours feature on our app. So I have opened that one up. So if you click on it, you can just come in here and tweak this whole thing. So the first thing that I see is, well, I want them to download my app with my social posts. I'm gonna move this DBA logo here that we're gonna replace. And I'm gonna stick my picture right here. Oops. And that's not what I meant to do. All right, guys, sorry. Well, I should take that out. So you can kind of drag and drop this stuff over, but you might want to make sure you don't replace the things that, like, you can easily replace accidentally the thing that's back there, the background photo as well. So let's say I want to have my photo there, and then I want to have my DBA logo over here. Okay, whichever one. Let's say we do the rib. So we can do this here. Oops. Take that stuff out, right? So you can just create something like this very easily so that you can post it later, right? Okay, now that's it. That's all you would need to do, super simple, and then you can go ahead and download it from up here. Say on a JPEG, if you're good with an image like this, you'll want to do a PNG if you don't want any backgrounds on it to show up. So the JPEG is fine for here, and then you would just download this here, and now you can get on with your social posting. So you could put this directly into your social media, but my point of doing this actually is to give you some leverage. So if we pop back over to command, your point of contact, actually, your campaigns is your quick button, basically. So if you pop into your campaigns instead of designs, there's already so many designs in here that you can just schedule going forward. I don't know if any of you saw a video that was recently posted by Jay Cermak, but he was just talking about how quick it is to post. So when you pop into campaigns, you've branded yourself, and now you're like, okay, I'm tired of writing my own content all day long. So I just want something quick so that I can easily post stuff. So this pops you over to your dashboard. But what you want to do is you want to go over here to social posts that don't cost you any money. And this is probably one of my favorite features. You can see right here in front of you what you've posted and what you have scheduled. You can do all of these in one sitting. I like to look at the month view so I can see all the postings. So every day that has a Facebook icon or a Twitter icon, that means something was posted to those places from here. So as you can see, here's our today. We have, I have more things scheduled through the rest of the month, and I can always go as far up ahead as I possibly could want to go up. So now, you always want to be relevant. So here's the deal. If you're not subscribed to outfront.kw.com, Outfront magazine, this is the virtual version of the magazine that we get in the office. You want to make sure you subscribe to this. Just go to outfront.kw.com, and it's going to pop up a little box saying, hey, do you want this in your inbox? Because look, one of the first things that they on here have, even right now, is everything you need to know about creating high converting Facebook ads. And you can click on them and it'll take you there. And I just missed that one. So, and then the other thing they have is they provide the content for all kinds of posts. So if you don't have this, please subscribe. It's going to come to your email inbox. The other place they populate this magazine at is on your My KW profile. There's a little thing here that you can see. So there's this whole page on KW Connect, how to connect with your sphere. Okay, so I've opened it up here, and it looks like this. Look, they have all of these different posts. So what they do, so we have tax day coming. Oops, sorry. And I'm not sharing this page for whatever reason. Here, I'll go ahead and back up here. Sorry, guys. All right, so I want to connect with my sphere. So it'll pop us over to KW command. Oh, connect. I'm not sure why it stops my share. Let me go ahead and try this again. Sorry, guys. Okay, so here you go. So it pops you over to connect to a page where there's all these different, they post a whole kit for you guys. So for instance, tax day is coming up. Let's say I want to schedule something for a posting to go out before tax day is due as a tip for my clients, right? So you can click on these, and all you're gonna have to do is literally hit the download button, and it's gonna download an entire kit of content for you. And it not only has all the images ready for you, and it has a whole section of how you can, what other things you can do besides posts with this thing. So I'm sorry, this thing always stops the share when you switch windows. It's very strange. Sorry, guys.
It might be that it's on my end too, Sonia.
It's okay. All right, so let me just go ahead and show you here what it looks like. So for instance, I just downloaded this package here. So if I expand this, you can see that there's actually graphics in here. On tax day graphics, we can go ahead and just open up, for instance, this one. So there's the tax day graphic for you. And now, as you can see, there's plenty of space. You can put your own logos or KW logos or photo or whatever on it, or more text if you want, in designs. But it also has this amazing communication kit document. Okay, so it's gonna look like, basically this is one of the other ones here, but it has the content written for you guys, And I honestly don't know what other company content writes stuff for you. Like, this is so cool. So there's a whole email here with a subject line, you know, tax day 2020 is July 15th. Are you ready? So this whole thing is really about how to not stress out about tax day. And it's talking about like how you're going to give yourself a break and blah, 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 right? Then there's also a call script. So you can literally go ahead and start calling people around this. There's a texting script, and here's your social post, right? So you can just copy paste this social post, right? Copy the text and pop over back over to your command. And I probably have to stop the share again. So sorry guys. There we go. So you're going to pop back over to your command, and now we can get into business. There you go. Okay. So you're in your campaigns, right? So let's say you want to schedule something for one of these days. You can just go ahead and go up here to create a new campaign. And now it's going to want to know, what do you want to create? So let's say we want to create a social post, right? All you're going to do is paste your text right here. Okay, and this is actually the wrong text because I had it copied from before, but that's okay. Paste, upload photo. You just downloaded it, right? So we can just pull it in from here. Right, so you can choose which kind you want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and choose the square one because I like the way it looks, it's bigger. But you can also adjust what it's made for in this section here. So it'll ask you, so just look at what the graphic is made for and adjust accordingly. It's gonna put it here, and on the side, it's gonna keep showing you what it looks like, right? And now all you have to do is go down here and figure out when you want it posted for. So let's say that tax day is July 15th, right? So maybe we want to give them a week beforehand and, for instance, schedule it for the 8th of July. I mean, I'm sorry, gosh, I'm in June, aren't I? So maybe I want to schedule it for maybe like a week before, okay? And you can also select the time there. And then you can also select if you wanted to go to Twitter. The only thing, if you have a Twitter account and you want that to keep going to Twitter as well, the only thing about Twitter is that it will max you out on the characters at the top. So for this particular one, like I said, it's not the right text here, but as you can see here, for Twitter, it gives you max characters of 280. So you have to sometimes shorten them. So you may or may not want to have these go to Twitter. Okay, and then you just go schedule post, and it's going to say, okay, are you sure you want to schedule this post? Yes. And now it's going to show up in your calendar, right? So this stuff is so cool. There's so much stuff in the KW command. You can see there's a how to add, value to your property without bursting your wallet. You can schedule all this stuff in here. And if you don't want to go looking for any of this content, I'm telling you, Outfront Magazine is great. But if let's say you don't want to go looking for any of this content, on the side right here, you've got all your suggested quick posts, right? And so you can actually just hit one of these buttons and post it, and it's going to do all of it for you. So let's say I want to just do a neighborhood video real quick for Redondo Beach, right? We've done this before. Just running through, you can select the whole Redondo or South Redondo, whatever you want. It's going to create the video for you. Once it's done creating the video, you can change all this stuff here. So for instance, trendy eats, sights to see, live music. Okay, I like all that. I'm just going to go next. It's going to create the video for us. And once it does, it actually also content writes it for you. So you really don't have to, you don't have to do any kind of copywriting for this stuff. So now it's created, so I can go ahead and go and look, here's the text that I already put in here. Hey neighbor, want to learn more about the latest market trends, real estate developments, and lifestyle insights in your market, in your neck of the woods? Let's chat. Or if I don't like that text, look, there's a shuffle button. I can change it. Fun fact, as a local real estate agent, I'm really committed to knowing what's going on in your area. want to know about homes in your hood, you can keep hitting the shuffle button if you've already used one. Isn't that awesome? I think that that's so cool. And then you can also just preview the whole post here so you can make sure that it looks the way that you want it to look. And, if you have the Twitter one, it'll allow you to view that one as well. So again, campaigns is your quick button for this stuff. You can also take any of that stuff that you download from KW Connect and put it into designs by just uploading it. It's very, very simple to upload. So it gives you the templates, or you can upload your own and then add your information to them or whatever. But these are really made to be just very simple. Right. So, but this calendar thing is probably my favorite thing, so that you can, because it takes so much time coming back to this stuff, right? Time after time after time, you're coming back to this every day, versus what about on a Sunday night, you just post all of this all at once, right? It literally takes 2 seconds, right? So you can schedule all of it going out in any times of the day or anything that you'd like to do.
Yeah, and one thing, Sonia, that I like to add to this, I like the feature that it actually breaks it down into a 30-month calendar, and it gives you the time frames, and obviously it also tells you, that it's going to be promoting on Facebook and also Twitter. So that's great.
It's pretty cool. And then if you combine in yourself running ads, like actual paid ads, you'll view this calendar and you can see everything, including, the paid ads can also go on Instagram. So it'll show those here too. Just the postings do not go there yet. So you can kind of view the whole month and have a plan, right? There's all these companies out there showing, selling content, right? But if you don't even do it, right, most people don't come back to their computer every single day to make a really purposeful post, because it's breaking away from everything. And now you're not just taking the 2 seconds that it takes to create it, but you're having to take a half an hour, like, oh, where was I? Versus you could sit here and do this literally in one day, or just an hour a day for every, week or two ahead. So I just think that leverage is the key here. And especially for anybody who, Gary Keller was joking this week about being dual career agents. And right now it's kind of like we're all dual career and multi-career agents, right? So, you can schedule this.
Multitasking, we're juggling different parameters here. So yeah, absolutely on that.
Yeah. And Sonia.
Yeah.
Can you repeat all that? Just kidding. Just kidding.
So for the month of July, we're working on the calendar for everybody so that we can do a tech training every single day online, so you can tune in. In addition to that, Holland and the whole team works really hard to get those calendars out to you guys so that we can combine as much of the stuff that's coming from region, from KWRI, and from basically what we've added to that. So get in contact with me if you need help. But on KW Connect, there's a button for technology. You can go in there and just start poking through. I've also had some agents who've taken it upon themselves. You guys remember Natalie used to post all of the 66-day challenges from Marty Miller that were command related. So you can just go to YouTube and go KW Command 66-day challenge, and you'll see all those videos on there. They're all less than 2 minutes. I had an agent text me yesterday, oh, I made it to number 44, and I have such a better understanding of command and how it can really help me and succeed in this kind of a time, right? So if this is going to be the way that business is going to go from now on, what are you going to do to make your business virtual? Like, we kind of have to build from bottom up in terms of the virtual business. And this is just one way. You don't want to sit here every day. Like, you could be doing other things, right? So come back to the calendar and figure out what you can do ahead of time. And now you can actually figure out the content, things like tax day that actually matter, so they make sense when they're coming up. Yeah. So if you have questions, get in touch with me. We do a tech training on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. So you're welcome to everyone's welcome to hop on that as well.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sonia. Great information. I'm exhausted. That's a lot, you know, but when you practice and you consistently do it, it comes super easy. So thank you again, Sonia, for sharing. All right, guys, let's go ahead and continue. Let me pull up my share real quick. Bear with me here for a minute. Where are we at? This thing is share. Okay, so next we have Kim. Kim is going to be talking to you guys, you know, with all this COVID-19 situation, leadership from the regional to even our office, speaking with other team leaders, other OPs, the real estate best practice guidelines. Can everyone see this? Let me see. Maybe this will be better. So Kim is going to talk to you about the new guidelines for the form BPPP. Okay, so is Kim on the call?
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi.
Okay, good.
You.
Hi.
How you doing, Kim?
Good.
Let me share the other form that we're going to be talking about. Bear with me here, guys. So.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, bringing it up, everyone should have probably heard already about the two new PED forms, right? The property entry and advisory declaration, where they made one for the visitors and they made one for sellers. Okay, so that is on zip form now as of this morning. So just so you guys know, so you know, take a look at those forms. There's one for the visitors and one for the sellers. And then for this BPPP, which is the best practices guidelines
now, Kim, do you see the form in front of you? I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
Do you? No one sees it? Okay, bear with me here. I apologize. I don't know why it's not share. Okay, do you guys see it now?
Yes, there you go.
Okay,
so this form actually was emailed out to everyone yesterday, signed by me. It's 8 pages long, and this is where you need to actually sign it and return a copy back to the office. Yes, Simon?
Oh. I'm sorry, do you see this?
Okay, so it needs to be signed by everyone and returned back to the office stating that, you know, you are aware of the rules and that you will, you know, follow the rules as written, which is our duty to do so. So it's the prevention plan. Like I said, it's a lot of information here. So look through it, it's 8 pages. Of course, we can't remember everything. So, you know, I've been telling people, make a folder in your email to hold on to all this, you know, COVID-19 emails. And so they're not, you know, all mixed in with all the other tons of thousands of emails that we're getting. So you guys can have the COVID stuff in one place. But just to cover a little, you know, rules or tips or whatnot. So obviously we know you cannot hold open houses or showings that are open to the general public or on a walk-in basis, right? So they're kind of saying you should use an appointment or a digital sign-in process to control the number of people at the house, which would be very helpful. They still want you to try to do showings virtually, if at all possible, okay? And again, so all visitors must sign the PEAD-V form. That's the one for the visitors, okay? And that needs to be delivered electronically to the listing agent in advance. So, you know, anyone, if you have a listing, you also want to make sure, you know, you're putting the rules in your agent remarks. I saw a listing, they had it all spelled out so nicely, excuse me, just explaining that, you know, please send me over the PEAD signed by your buyer. And then once I receive it, I will give you a CVS code so you can enter the property. And they just had all the rules on there, and I thought it was great. It was done, you know, just like it should be. So that's one thing. The rules for showing must be posted at the entrance to the property, right, and be clearly visible. So it's good to have it somewhere next to your lockbox or on the window, just somewhere so that it can be seen as soon as the people get there to the property. Okay, the property must be equipped with hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, and face masks. All right. The property must be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected. Commonly used surfaces such as the counters, the doors, cabinet handles, the lock boxes themselves, because everybody's touching on that to get in, right? The keypads, they even have on here toilets. And it's funny that Gov Hutchinson kind of, I wouldn't say he laughed, but on his webinar, he was like, well, I hope nobody's using the toilet. But for now, it's on the form. And they're saying, the toilets, the sinks, the light switches, etc., must be cleaned and disinfected after each showing. And ultimately, the responsibility for this falls on the listing agent, to keep it cleaned. Now, they did mention that the CAR form, the RLA-CAA, can require the seller to pay for the cost of an outside cleaning service. So that's something to think about, but when you think about it, they cannot come and be there after every single showing, right? So maybe you can have a service that does like an initial cleaning, and then you have yourself a little disinfected kit where after people leave, you go back, wipe up off the door handles and surfaces, countertops and stuff like that. And you should be advising people not to touch anything anyway, right, when they come in. Yeah, and it says allow for adequate time for cleaning between showings. Now, if it's a property that isn't vacant and it's occupied, or there's some people present as far as the occupants who live there, and they want to stay, and let's say they don't want to leave, they need to adhere to the same cleaning and disinfecting protocols. Okay. So, and they're saying open the doors and windows, if possible, like if it's if the weather is good that day, maybe if it's pouring, raining, or something else is going on outside. If you can't do it, you can't do it. But if you can, they want you to keep the doors and windows open to allow for fresh air. And let's see, prior to or immediately upon entry, all visitors must use hand sanitizer. So you should have hand sanitizer for them as well. We can't expect that they will come, prepared with all their own stuff. And it says, or, they could have washed their hands with soap and water before touring or inspecting the property. After the showing, you guys should make sure that everything, the disposable covers, which are the mask and the gloves, are properly discarded. So maybe there should be some sort of trash bag or trash can or something right before walking out, they dispose it. So that would be good. And plus we know at least they went in the trash and not outside on the sidewalks, right? Just saw that on the news today. Now they said that's becoming a problem with people dropping the mask and the gloves on the ground. And these things are dirty, and who's going to pick them up? And now we got these masks all over the city. So anyhow, we can make sure that those get disposed of. So anyhow, just when you get a chance, take a look at the form. And like I said, it's 8 pages. You're not going to remember every single thing. Just go over it, and please don't forget to sign a copy. Maybe you can sign the last page and send that over to the staff, but we need to receive one from every agent. Okay, this is your statement saying that you will abide. Okay, that's it.
Awesome. So Kim, is this a form that, let me scroll all the way down, preventative plan. Okay, here it is, guys. Broker information, office manager.
Yeah, the one that was emailed out to everyone, all of this is filled out right here. You'll see my signature, and it says KW South Bay, the DRE license number, and everything is filled out.
Beautiful.
Question.
Yes.
Yes, Rosie.
So as a listing agent, obviously when we make appointments, we are not in there with the buyer's agent. So we are required to clean. I'm not going to be going to the property to clean every time. So how that is handled then?
Well, that's one thing, yeah, Gov was talking about. You have to probably go back and check and clean the property. I mean, even on the webinar with Gov, he's like, there's still going to be a lot of changes. He knows that there's some things it's not, sounding right, just like how they put toilets in there. So there's going to be more changes. He said we just have to do the best we can. Right now, this is the rule, and we have to just try to abide by it. I know everything is not making, total sense, but we have to just try to do the best we can.
Right. We have a couple of questions for you, Kim. One is commercial lease listing. Are the requirements apply?
Yeah, so you're saying the best practices and guidelines?
Correct.
Oh,
The
yeah.
question that came in is, are commercial leases included on this? The answer is obviously yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, there's a blanket policy for our entire state. I'm not sure about that. Any thoughts on that, Kim?
No, don't know because,
Blanket policy for the entire state.
yeah, no, I would say no. I mean, every state is kind of have like a little different set of rules, kind of.
Yeah.
Probably pretty close, but that's why whatever area you're working in, even with the different cities, you got to still check the local rules. And it says that on that BPPP form.
Beautiful. All right. Any additional questions, guys? This is a great opportunity to get some uncleared answers on this. I know it's a little confusing. There's a lot of new stuff involved, but at the end of the day, it's for protection for all parties, including ourselves as real estate professionals, buyers and sellers, and family members that are also looking at property. So again, Kim, thank you so much for giving us an update on the COVID, the PE or the BPPP form.
Right.
Awesome, guys. All right, let's go ahead and continue now to our guest speaker. So Ryan has dedicated 15 years to credit optimization with a focus on home loan preparations. He has successfully helped over 20,000 prospects become home loan eligible. So how many have dealt with buyers that want to buy a home, but unfortunately their FICO scores are not up to par? I think we have more of those than any. So Ryan is going to give you a perspective and how he and his company can help you increase your clients' FICO scores to qualify for a home loan. So without further ado, Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Simon. Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. And I've done a lot of speaking at the Beach Cities Keller Williams office, as well as down in Irvine and all around the country. But it's good to see you guys, and I appreciate you having me. I know it's kind of a strange time listening to Kim do her little presentation. It's, you guys are having to deal with a lot to get us through this crazy time. So God bless you all for your patience. And credit's a weird thing, and a lot of people are being affected by it, including maybe some of us on this call, as we're kind of in a weird kind of time right now. And so I'm certainly very mindful of that, and very fortunate to be able to help a lot of folks, especially people. A lot of people are putting their homes in forbearance now. People are missing payments. People are waiting on closings. You folks, so there's a lot of uncertainty right now, which is scary for a lot of us. So my story is, I grew up in Wisconsin. I lived in Denver, Colorado for 7 years. And then the last 8 years I was in Orange County, California. I recently just relocated, and I'm now in actually Charlotte, North Carolina. So I moved here about 1.5 years ago. We're having our third child. My wife and I wanted to get closer to my family. Her family's out there. But we wanted to come out over this way, just because I have a larger family, and her parents have some flexibility to move. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina now, but I still have an office in Orange County in Irvine. And the last several years I've been in Charlotte. Before that, I was in Coto de Caza in South Orange County. So I just want to thank you, Simon, for having me on. And I wrote this book recently, you guys. I'll send anyone who wants a copy, an ebook version. It's basically a home loan preparation guide. Anything credit related you'll find in here, as far as letters, how to deal with a repossession or a medical bill, or how it impacts the credit, what the best move is. Because a lot of people on here, perhaps you've had a situation where you've been doing a showing where the topic of credit comes up with a potential buyer, and the first thing that they say is, yeah, I've got a medical bill, or I've got this or that I'm dealing with, and perhaps your response is, well, you should pay that. Well, does anyone on here know why that hurts the credit score? And I don't know if this is the way I should be doing it, Simon. If they can respond in chat, I'll monitor that perhaps. But do you know why paying a collection can oftentimes hurt your score? Or if someone wants to unmute, I see Robert shaking his head no. Michelle's shaking her head yes. Michelle Brown. Robert Walatka saying nope, he doesn't know. So anyway, I'll tell you why. The first thing is, and I've got a little PowerPoint, I'll show you guys a couple slides here, but the reason is that it resets the date of last activity. So what happens, you guys, is when someone has a collection, whether it's medical, whether it's, you know, a credit card that's been defaulted on, it's something that just slipped through the cracks that maybe you're unaware of, that is coded as an 09 or an I9 on the credit report, right? So that 09 or I9 coding tells the mathematical equation or algorithm that, okay, we've got something bad. In order to determine how bad it is, they look at the date of last activity. And the more recent that date of last activity, the more it hurts the score. So by paying it, you guys are advising a client, a potential buyer, to pay a collection, it potentially lowers their credit score because it resets that date of last activity, okay? So you got to be very, very careful. So what do you do? What can you do? Well, you always want to, and this goes for you guys personally, or obviously your buyers, is you always want to get a letter of deletion, something that states that upon payment or settlement, you can see the highlighted part, they're going to delete the account from the 3 credit bureaus. So that'll kind of give you an idea how to maybe not advise your client. Because again, I just hear so many horror stories. I've been teaching continuing ed, you know, I'm approved to the BRE in several states and teaching continuing ed. And anytime I ask that question in a live presentation forum, who knows when I'll be able to do that again. But many of the realtors that are there raise their hand and say, but you know, I have them pay, I advise them to pay it. And I have to explain to them that potentially they're losing deals or lowering their potential buyer's credit score by doing so. Now, there's probably a lot of you on here during showings or open houses, the topic of credit comes up and they say, you know, I've got a 680 or a 700 credit score, and then you get them to a lender for pre-approval. And unfortunately, the score comes back at a 560, 600, 610. They're not qualified nonetheless. And if you understand why that is, it's important that you do understand why that is. So there's something called the Vantage score. The Vantage score is the one that everyone has on the little app on their phone, Credit Karma, right? The Credit Karma scores are significantly inflated as opposed to the mortgage scores, which are, as you can see here on the screen, you see TransUnion uses FICO Classic 04, Experian uses Fair Isaac version 2, and Equifax uses FICO Classic version 5. Sorry, say again?
No, I muted.
Oh, okay. That was just someone unmuted. Okay, I thought someone had a question.
No.
Does that make sense, you guys? If you know, again, if you have a question, I encourage you to ask. I don't want to just kind of ramble the whole time. I know that this is kind of an interactive topic, so a lot of times people have questions about it. So I'm happy to take any questions from anyone who'd like to ask. I don't think while I have the share screen on, I can see the type chat. So maybe Simon, if you're watching that, let me know if you see something, or if anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, I would encourage it as well, or put it in the chat.
Yeah, so, I don't see.
Question?
Go ahead,
Rosie.
Okay, so that will reset, and I heard there is like a 4-year statute of limitation when somebody has a debt. Can you explain that?
4 years is how long they have to sue you for the debt. Okay, so there's 2 different statutes of limitations. There's a statute of limitations for how long it reports to the credit bureaus, and that is 7 years, right? But the statute of how long they have to sue you for the debt or put a judgment, and that's where you can get into problems with buyers or sellers, because if they have a judgment and it's showing up on what's called LexisNexis, which is the title search, right? Then, you know, you have liens on properties potentially, or you have to, you know, you have a clouded title, they call it, right? So that's an important statute, the 4 years, Rosie. So I'm glad you asked it. So they have 4 years to basically take you to court, sue you for the debt. I work with a lot of real estate agents who have had credit issues in the past, just nature of the business, right? You have really good.
Now, Brian, the statute of limitation is based on what, a charge off? Is that where it starts, or from the time of delinquent?
Date of first delinquency is where that date starts. Yes, sir. Good question. So they have 4 years from the date of first delinquency to sue you for the debt. And oftentimes there's a trail of a debt, you know, so I always tell people always say, well, Ryan, you're in the credit business, you're in the credit, you know, credit repair is a word I never use because it just has a icky stigma to it because there's so many people that aren't doing it the right way. I prefer to say I do home loan preparation services or home loan prep credit optimization, whatever you want to call it, right? But and the reason I call it that is because I understand the mortgage underwriting guidelines. So I'm approaching credit optimization from that standpoint, knowing, you know, so many companies that they just send out templated, you know, BS dispute letters, for lack of a better phrase, and they mark the report up with dispute remarks. And unfortunately, what that does is it puts them in a position where they can't underwrite the loan. So you have to remove the disputes because it gives a false positive to the score, because while that account is under investigation, it's not factoring into the algorithm. So the lenders will make you remove that prior to giving an approval. And then when you do, the scores go back down.
You actually have a very valid point there. I never knew. You know, many years ago, I had some credit challenges on my credit bureau reports. And, you know, you brought us something that I never thought was, if there is a charge off or a delinquent collection on the credit, that in order to satisfy that debt, making sure that also you ask for the deletion of that information, not just aid or satisfy, but ultimately have it deleted from your credit reports.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. And that's the big thing, is getting a letter that, you know, this is an older example, but it's a powerful story that I use in my CE class, because it was actually a realtor that was attending this class, and they had a $1.2 million deal that was on the line. And because of this Indianapolis Power and Light bill, I was speaking at the Indiana Association of Realtors convention, and this topic came up, and a realtor raised their hand. She was, you know, you could tell she probably hadn't done a deal in 6 months, and she really wanted this deal to close. I think she was working both ends of it too. I think she had 5% of 1.2 or something, you know, which is a big loan up there, right? I mean, 1.2 is a big deal up there. That's like you guys getting a $30 million deal, you know? So in her eyes, it was a big situation. And so unfortunately, this collection, the mortgage person was trying to get it removed. They couldn't. What I did is I called and I found a violation in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is just something that, you know, they didn't send a dunning letter, which is required within 5 days of first contact. I won't get into all the boring law stuff with you guys, but essentially I found an avenue to get them to agree to delete it. And that was key, because their company policy was not to delete. You know, a lot of times it's not to delete. So you have to find a different way to get them to expunge it. And the score went from, you know, 665 to 750 just by getting this one item removed, because at the time it was a very recent date of last activity. And that's what I mentioned. The date of last activity is what determines how much negative impact it has on the score. So I'll just roll on here, you guys, and then just fire away. I'll take some questions here at the end, but a couple more minutes. So this is how the score breaks down. So when I go in and I look at someone's credit, I'm looking at it holistically. I'm looking at everything. So, you know, you'll hear people say, don't close an old account. Like I sounded like a creep the other day because I told a woman that I was reviewing her report to go buy herself something at Victoria's Secret. And as the words came out, I wanted to pull them back in because I didn't put it in the right context. So she kind of paused and it kind of fell back, and I chuckled and said, listen, no, I'm trying to, you know, optimize your credit here. I didn't even look at what the trade line was. I wasn't even thinking that I was telling her Victoria's Secret was the retailer. But what I was protecting her from was them closing the card due to inactivity, because she hadn't used it in 18 months. And a lot of times you'll see closed by credit grantor, closed due to inactivity. So you always want to be careful not to A, pay off your credit cards and close them, especially if they've been open a long time. And B, if you've got an account that maybe you haven't used in a while that's been open a really long time. Like this lady's, you know, I think she had her Victoria's Secret card open in 1998 or something. It was the oldest trade line she had, and therefore I didn't want it to close due to inactivity. But at the time, you know, I kind of tried to backtrack and said, no, they sell chapstick and other things, right? I think, you know, it was, it felt like it was going in the wrong direction, but we saved it. And she understood when I explained why I was telling her that. But the length of credit history, that section in green is big. It's 15% of the overall score. So when I'm looking at all of these different facets and in parts of the score, the big one in red there is the amounts owed. It's balance to limit ratio. You hear this all the time. Pay your credit cards down. Get them to under 20% or under 30%, you'll often hear. But at 30% of the score is 165 points. So I'm just going to leave you with this last little tip. And then obviously I'm here to take questions. I'll share my contact info if you have personal issues you want to discuss or questions about a particular potential buyer or a situation on a deal there on your end. So credit cards it's 165 points of the overall score is the balance to limit ratio. And so how are you utilizing it? So there's a couple ways you can reduce it. Number one, paying it down. That's the simple way to do it. But sometimes you maybe aren't in a position to pay it down, or it'll eat into your down payment money or cash reserves that are required for loan approval. So one other thing you can do is you can bump the limit. If you raise the limit, let's say you're using $800 of a $1,000 card, you're 80% utilized, you're losing some points, potentially 60, 70 points. But perhaps you have great payment history with them and you could raise the limit to 3,000 instead of 1,000, and now you're still at $800 balance, but you have a $3,000 limit. You created that gap. Boom, your score went up. A lot of people think if you have a higher limit, you're a flight risk to the bank or something, and that lowers your score, but that's not the case. So having higher limits is a good thing. So, so one last thing though that I want to that I think is a powerful tip that all of us could do is you should take the 800 number, you should take your credit card rather and call the 800 number on the back of the card and ask them 2 questions. The first one is, when do you report to the credit bureau? So every credit card company batches data. They send a data file with me, you, and 10 million other credit card users. Whoever, Capital One might have, 20 million users. So they send 20 million users data to the credit bureaus in one batched data file using a system called eOscar. It's a software to transmit data from creditor, data furnisher to credit bureau. And that happens once a month. So let's say I'll give you a real life example because this happened to me. I was refinancing my house in Irvine and I was on a 5-1 ARM at the time. And so it was adjusting and I was looking at like a $1,200 difference in my payment. And I couldn't get the deal refinanced at the 670 or whatever score I was at. And I had no idea why I was at 670, right? I had perfect credit, flawless, nothing wrong with it, no derogatory data, nothing but this Wells Fargo Visa that at the time I was using for business travel and supplies and different things had like a $5,000 limit. I was maxing it out every month at $5,000, but I was paying it off in full. But I was never getting the credit for that. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear that this example that I'm giving you, this trick, so to speak, holds true for not just folks who pay off their cards in full each month. It's even good if you're making the minimum payments, because why not show the smallest balance you carried throughout the statement cycle? So let me continue. Wells Fargo, I found out, reported on the 15th of the month. They sent a data file with me and 10 million other credit card users on the 15th. Well, if I polled everyone on the call right now and I said, when is your credit card bill due? I bet most of us would give a different date, right? Like some would say the 3rd, some would say the 16th, the 24th, the 3rd, the 23rd, the whatever, right? Mine happened to be due because it's all, so your bill is due, your statement cycle data set by when you open the account, right? So mine happened to be due on the 17th. So every month, I'd rack it up. I'd send I'd go online and schedule my payment for, to take the payment in full. Well, even if you send a check or even if you pay it online on the 11th and it's due on the 17th, you see on your next statement, it says payment received date, June 11th, payment posted date, June 17th on the due date, right? So what happens then is on the 15th, when they batch that data, they're still showing you reporting a maxed out credit card. You follow me? So that happened to me every single month. So every month I was racking it up close to the limit, paying it off in full, but never getting credit for it. So anytime my credit was pulled, your credit is a snapshot. When you send a buyer for pre-approval, it's a snapshot of whatever data the credit bureaus have at that point in time, whatever data has been sent to them, submitted to them, batched to them at that particular point in time that they have that's reporting. So Wells Fargo showing me maxed out. Go ahead.
Question.
Yes.
What about in regards to like an American Express that's a charge account?
Yeah, it's important to sync up.
You charge it up, and at the end of the cycle, the 30-day cycle, then you'll get the amount that you have to pay. So if you charge up 5,000, 10,000, does that also impact your credit score?
Yeah, because a lot of the Amex cards, they're limitless cards, right? So a lot of times they'll report whatever your balance is as your high balance, which defaults as your limit, right? But they're coded a little bit differently on the reports too. They'll show as a charge card versus a credit card, right?
Right.
So they'll report a little bit differently, and the lenders kind of know how to deal with these limitless American Express cards. So it's a little bit different than the cards I'm talking about, but it's something to be aware of and something to look into to make sure that it's not defaulting your high balance or balance to high balance and limit and showing you basically utilized fully each month. What I got in the habit of with my American Express, I use one myself, and I just got in the habit of making sure that I paid my balance before the statement cycle date, because Amex actually reports on the statement cycle date. So if your
Right.
statement cycle's on the 8th, your bill would then be due on the 22nd, 2 weeks later, right? So I just pay it off on the 7th. When I go online, it says nothing due, right? No minimum payment due or whatever, no payment due. And I'll just pay it off on the 7th. Then when it cycles to zero balance. So I never show an active balance on it. So that's what I do, especially if I'm going to do some sort of financing. So call the 800 number on the back of the card. First question is, when do you report to the bureaus? The 20-year-old in the call center may not be able to answer that, but a supervisor, it's public information, they have to release it. Find out when they report, find out when your bill is due, and change your bill due date to be 2 days prior. So when I did that, and I changed my bill due date from the 17th to the 13th, the following month when my lender pulled it, after they batched on the 15th, my score went from 678 or whatever to 785. So it was literally that big of a difference in my score because I didn't have a lot of other revolving accounts, and it's on a per individual card basis if you're looking at this 30% on the slide here. So anyway, that's a good tip that I think I'll leave you guys with, and I hope you find it helpful. Typically for me, it changed my life. It saved me $1,200 a month on a mortgage. And I mean, if you do that over 30 years, that's $432,000, which means that's after tax money. I pay that $432. So what, $600,000 5-minute phone call to the credit card company. So pretty powerful tip that anyone can employ and see their score go up pretty quickly. So.
Beautiful. Just one more question. I know you have to jump on a 2:00 Zoom call.
I've got a few minutes. I pushed it back to 2:15 anyway, so you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of time. So if anyone has questions, I'm here.
I do have another question for you. So one of the, the companies that I've worked many years ago, do you work closely with CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau?
Very familiar with them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are their responsibility? You know what they do?
Well, they're more of a watchdog for consumer financial type of businesses, whether it's debt companies, the mortgage business. I mean, they basically were, Elizabeth Warren kind of formed them. She was the head of, she started that after the 2007, 2008 crash, and the Dodd-Frank Act and those types of things. So it was more established to kind of watch over, be a watchdog for the mortgage lending practices, so that we didn't have another scenario like we did in 2008. But ultimately, what it's evolved into is more of a financial sector watchdog. So now they're watching over, companies like myself or the Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion and others, right? So they're debt consolidation companies, debt management companies, debt settlement firms, anyone kind of in the consumer finance space, so to speak, Simon.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions on the chat here. So one is, how much does it cost to per deletion?
How much does it cost for what? I'm sorry?
Per deletion to delete discrepancy on your credit report. I guess that's the question.
I'm not sure are you asking what my fee is to fix, to remove it?
The question to you is, how much does it cost per deletion?
I don't charge a per deletion fee at all. I don't like companies who do that. And I'll explain that really quickly. It's just so, whoever asked it, I think was it Gary Farah. So here's my problem with companies that charge per deletion. There's items on the credit report. Let's say they're older, right? Older accounts. Remember I mentioned the more recent the date of last activity, the more it hurts the score if it's coded derogatorily. Right. So, or in a derogatory fashion. I don't know if derogatorily is even a word, but the more recent, the more it hurts. So the companies that are incentivized to get paid per deletion, what happens is they're incentivized to then go after the easy stuff to remove. Well, the easy stuff to remove is the older stuff. right? The older stuff doesn't have much of a positive impact on the score. So now you've got 10 old accounts that are reporting to all 3 bureaus and they're charging $100 per deletion or something, right? That's 30 accounts. Now because they removed 10 that are on all 3 bureaus, now they debit your card $3,000 and your score goes up 4 points because they removed a bunch of old stuff. That's the problem I have with that. I charge a consulting fee essentially to do a full review analysis of the report. I do, document preparation type of services. So I will send certified mail to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. But what makes me unique is I'll go to the creditors directly. I'll help get the letters of deletion. I'll help facilitate that process versus just being a dispute mill sending letters. Because again, if anything's marked in dispute that's non-medical, cumulative over $1,000, it's going to be very, very hard to get approved for a home loan with those disputes on there. So the companies that are charging per deletion, all they're doing is churning out a bunch of letters essentially. And it's not really the way to do it. I want to look at the report. I want to analyze it. I want to see where there's opportunities. I want to help by picking up the phone, maybe sending some investigation requests or negotiating letters of deletion or actually the whole point of the credit scoring system is it's designed to measure risk, your ability to pay back a home loan, a consumer's ability to pay back a loan of any sort, right? My job is to get the credit report to reflect a person's true ability to pay back a loan. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not the guy who says I'm going to make all your debt disappear and you have all this stuff that you legitimately owe and I've got a magic
You don't have
wand.
that magic
If you're
wand.
looking for someone to promise that, like I'm going to give you a new social security number or something, that's not who I am. And you're looking at the wrong guy. I'm just trying to get your credit report to reflect your true ability to pay back a loan. And unfortunately, 80% of credit reports have errors on them. And that was a study done by the Public Interest Research Group. That's a travesty as far as I'm concerned. So my job is to eliminate error. If you owe a debt, you owe a debt. But just because you owe the debt does not mean that it's accurately being reported to the credit bureaus. Does that make sense? You could owe a debt, but does that mean it's fair for them to sell it to ABC Collections and ABC to sell it to XYZ and the same debt's on there 3 or 4 times? Well, is that fair? Is that giving a true picture of your ability to pay back a loan? Well, I would argue no.
Awesome. Brian, listen, we're out of time. It's 2:00. I'm a true believer to the integrity of our agents' time. So where can we reach you if we have any additional questions, Brian?
I'm going to put my contact info in the chat right now. I'll put my email in there. I will also, Simon, I'm not sure if I have your email or Holland there, but I can send a link to my ebook that everyone can have a copy of, the home loan prep guide that I mentioned. My email is there, my cell phone I'm also putting in now for you guys. So there you go. My contact info is in the chat. Everyone feel free to reach out. Any questions, if you have personal issues or a particular buyer, I'm happy to review it. I will send, maybe Simon, I'll get an email to you with the link to the ebook, and then Holland can send it out to all the agents for me. That'd be great.
Got it. Thank you.
And yeah, and then people were asking about the cost of the service and so forth. So yeah, if you have specific questions, just feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to discuss it.
Beautiful. Brian, thank you so much for your time. Great information. I picked up a couple of ideas and tips. So thank you again, Ryan, for providing us with a wealth of information on credit restoration. So
thank you for having me, guys. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you again, Ryan. All right, guys, it's just past 2:00. So just want to give a quick shout out to the affiliates. I know we have a couple of affiliates. So if you just want to say a quick 20 seconds, guys, 20 seconds. So we'll start with Joanne. Hi, Joanne.
Hi guys, nice to see everybody. Just wanted to let you know or remind you that we offer a 15% discount for seniors. Any sellers that are 55 and older. So a lot of companies are a lot higher than 55. If one of the spouses or one of the people are 55, 15%. So give me a call. Let me know what I can help you with.
Awesome. Thank you, Joanne. Good to see you.
Simon. Great to
Anyone
see you.
else? I see Wendy, but she might be on another call. All right, guys. Well, that concludes today's sales meeting. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.
Oh, there's Wendy. There's Wendy. Wendy's back.
Just a quick thing.
I am on another call. My apologies. I have like 3 ones at the same time. But yeah.
Back sales.
Let me know if you need anything. Call me up. 310-480-7510. Wendy Holt with Snap and HD. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, awesome, guys. Again, as I mentioned, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next week. See you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.